Hey there. Nice fall day. I figured I'd get out of the house for a little bit. The other day, I looked out my kitchen window and seen a couple of fox underneath the bird feeder. Well, first I saw one, and he looked kind of mangy. A few minutes later, another one came out from underneath the pine tree, and that one looked beautiful. I took some. Ran out and got my camera with a 100 to 400 millimeter on it, and a Canon 7D Mark II, and took some shots of him. The mangy one never looked at me, so all I got shots of it was at the back of his head. It was something. And then another one came out from underneath the pine tree, and he or she, they look great, beautiful looking animal. But I couldn't get lock of focus on it. I was shooting through a kitchen window, and it had just disappeared kind of underneath the house. I could never get a shot of it. Well, I did, but it was really blurry to throw away. But anyway, I saw the one that was really mangy looking, and I was wondering if you can actually treat them, because they get the mange, and what mange is, it's a parasite that gets underneath the skin of an animal and bores little holes through their skin and lays eggs, and it annoys the heck out of the animal, to where the point is where they just scratch all the fur off their skin, and they wound themselves. They get in these wounds, they'll get infected. It makes the animal sick. Eventually they'll die. Also with the mange, as they're sick, they'll lose their fear of people, other animals like dogs. They'll kind of lose their will to hunt, so they'll come closer to your home and get into your garbage and things like that, become kind of a nuisance. And I think a lot of people will mistake that for the animal having rabies, when actually it's just a mange. And it is treatable. I went on the internet, Googled it, and came up with a solution that other people have done. And it's a product that's available on Amazon. It's called agramectin, and the active ingredient is 1% ivermectin. And what you do, I went on Amazon and got that, and I also got some hypodermic needles. And what you do, an animal has to eat it. You're not catching it and injecting it. I'm not going to mess with that. But you inject it into food, they eat it, they get better after maybe 3 to 5 weeks. What you do is you set up a feeding station in your backyard or wherever, and you can inject the solution into an egg or meatballs. Apparently they like jelly sandwiches too. So what you do, from what I've read, is you set up the feeding station, you feed them, you dose their food once every 5 days, and after 3 weeks you dose it once every 7 to 10 days, I believe it was. You Google it, you'll find it, just like I did. So anyway, my situation is like, how do I know that I'm actually treating the sick fox? Are other animals eating it? Are there any dangers with this ivermectin medicine to treat the mange? Does it harm other animals? So I looked that up as well, and it will harm certain dogs. It'll harm collies, sheepdogs, and I kind of got mixed information on possibly German shepherds too. I talked to my neighbors about it, as they have 2 dogs. They have a lab and a Rhodesian Ridgeback, so they would be safe. And I think the only way, actually this medicine is used to treat dogs as well. You just can't treat the collies or sheepdogs. It's highly toxic to them. So you've got to make sure that there are no other animals, or other dogs, collies, sheepdogs, that will come and eat this stuff. It will kill them. So I told them what I was doing. They were fine with it. If their dogs happen to get mange, and actually they could probably theoretically get mange from the fox. So maybe I'm doing a little bit of good there, maybe more justification. I mean, I think a lot of people would disagree, just leave the animal alone, circle of nature, it will die. But okay, I'm a little selfish. I like to photograph things, and I'd really love it if I had some fox in the backyard that I could photograph. That would be super awesome. So anyway, that's kind of my motivation for it, and I hate to see the animals suffer anyway. The thing is too, what you feed them, you kind of want to make sure other animals aren't eating it. I've got a couple cats that run around the neighborhood. They're not mine. I don't know whose. They're one of the neighbors' cats, and they just kind of run around and they kill all our birds. Not all of them, just some. They're kind of a nuisance. But it won't harm them. But then again, I also don't want them to eat the medicine that's supposed to be going to the fox. So that leads me to, what can you feed them? You can feed them hard-boiled eggs. Apparently they like that. Jelly sandwiches, the cats won't touch that. I think ideally would be to feed them meat, like dog food or cat food. Maybe if I bring it in, and I haven't seen any cats at night. I think they go home at night. Ideally, that would be the thing the fox would devour really quickly. And it would also mask the taste of this medicine, the ivermectin, brand name agrimectin, as it apparently is really super bitter. People will make meatballs with no flavoring, basically just rolled up hamburger, I guess, right? And inject it into the meatball, and they'll wolf that stuff down. They won't even think about it because the meat is so delicious to them. So anyway, right now I'm stuck with the eggs, and then I got to figure out, and a jelly, and then I got to figure out who's eating it, which led me to search on Amazon again for some game cameras, trail cameras, and there's a bunch of them there, and they're all mostly around the $70 range. And what I settled on was a little bird flying around down there. What I settled on was it's called a Campark T45. Look pretty decent. $69 on Amazon, and I'll put that link down below. I'm not affiliated with them, I'm just so you can see it. I've used it and it works pretty well. It has a couple of drawbacks. I had to write this stuff down because I don't remember it correctly. It will shoot 1080. Problem with that is that it shoots it at 25 frames per second. So if I add that into I usually shoot like this is 30 frames per second. I'll add that into my timeline. It'll look a little jumpy, but it's and it's a night video, so it's not all that great. You can see what the animal is. Throw some of that stuff up there so you can see. But it works pretty well. It'll do 720 at 30 frames a second, but you lose a little bit of resolution. And I kind of think anyway this camera is an even smaller sensor than that. It's just up-resing to 720 and 1080. It'll shoot 14 megapixel stills is its highest setting. I think it'll do 5, 8, 10, and 14 megapixel, something like that. So I have it set at 14. The daytime videos and shots just look over sharpened. Not great, but they're okay. The nighttime stuff it just looks like kind of blurry-ish, grainy surveillance footage. But you can see what it is, and it works pretty well. And it's $70, so it's not too bad. And I was looking at some other cameras too, and they were all kind of the same complaints and all kind of work the same. In fact, this camera is branded under different names, but it looks exactly the same specs, just different names. It's like the same little plastic box that it's in, different color camouflage on different ones. They're all the same stuff, probably all manufactured by the same company in China. Just throw a different name on it, and maybe that one will sell better. That's what they did. So anyway, it works okay. I set it up the first night and had some visitors. So when a possum comes around, I haven't dosed anything yet because I wanted to see what's coming around, if the foxes are even still coming around. But yeah, I did have some stuff coming around. I had a fox come around, and you could tell he was kind of weary or worry of something was triggering. The camera will light up, but not like a bright light. It's an infrared light, so it'll kind of glow dimly red. I think he actually sees it. It makes him kind of inquisitive, or he knows something's there, something's going on, so he kind of stayed off. And the camera will start to record or take pictures. It'll detect. It has 3 PIR sensors. Can't remember what that means. Something infrared, whatever. But it will detect stuff about 30 feet away. So, and then the light that throws out for the videos and the pictures covers maybe 15 to 20 feet out in front of the camera. So it'll actually detect something before it comes into the light of the camera. You can see their eyes glowing red back in the dark, and then they'll come in towards the camera because I have food set up in front of it to see what's eating it. So yeah, I had the fox come around. He never came to the food. The opossum, though, he's a regular visitor. He's coming out every night, and he'll eat some peanuts. I put peanuts and eggs out there to see what they'll eat. He didn't touch the egg one night, and last night I put it out, put it in a little bowl on the ground. So first I had it on this table, and it was kind of funny. The opossum would he's looking for the food, and then he would get back on his hind legs, and he would get back on his hind legs to get at the peanuts, and he'd take a few, go back, walk around, come back, take a few more. Fox never messed with it. Then I put it out last night. I put an egg out there and the peanuts in a little clay flower pot thingy on the ground, so you could get at it easier. And the camera was working. I had these two strange visitors. I think it could be Yeti. Not positive. I'm not a zoologist. I believe they're either mythical or extinct. But I got some shots of those. I'm probably going to send those to National Geographic. But other than them, had the possum come by. But when the possum came by, the egg and the peanuts were gone. There was nothing in the dish. So something could have been the Yeti. They could have eaten the egg and the peanuts. Not positive they did. I don't know what their diet is, but the dish was empty. When the Yeti were there was still stuff in the dish. I could see it. But something came up and got it, ate it, and left. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if something snuck up from underneath the deck and got into the food and went out the same way, and it didn't trigger the camera. Kind of screwy, but yeah, that's what I. So now I think I'm gonna, once I can confirm the fox is eating the bait and he comes in regular, I'll start dosing it. I may do that probably tomorrow night. I'm gonna set it up again tonight, see if he comes in. I'm gonna go to the store after this and get some dog food. I know he'll eat that. I just gotta take it away in the morning for the catch. And the squirrels and all that stuff, they'll finish off the peanuts, but I don't want them really eating the medicine, the ivermectin. They're so small. What I do is the doses I'm giving them may harm them, maybe not. I get hypodermic needles on Amazon as well. I'll put a link to those down here as well. You dose it with 0.2 milliliters for a 10-pound animal. Fox, possum, doesn't hurt possums either, or raccoons. So they can eat that and be fine. And actually, if they eat it twice in one night, supposedly it's okay. It won't harm them. So you can't really overdose them. I guess if you eat enough of anything, it'll hurt you. But what it does, the ivermectin will it kills parasites. It'll also get rid of heartworms, I believe, and some other GI tract parasites. It'll kill those. I got my list here if I have to refer to it. I forget what I'm talking about. OSD, I see a bird go by. Yeah. So actually, you treat them again with the camera. Hopefully, I can see what I'm doing and see some improvement. I can't. The fox that came around, he came sort of close to the camera. I can't tell if it was the one that I saw that was mangy. His tail wasn't completely bald. I've seen them where they're just like almost completely bald. Not in my neighborhood, but I've seen them that bad before. This guy's just starting to get it looks like. But I can't tell how bushy his tail is compared to like a healthy fox that I've seen running around the neighborhood. So we'll just dose them. It can't hurt the other guys too. They could have heartworms and it'll get rid of them. Good for everything. Two deer, buck, and a doe. Somebody must be in that parking lot up there. Scared them over here. Buck's got a small rack, maybe 4 points. Alright, so that's about it for our fox story today in a little mini trail cam review, the Campark T45. And that's about it. By the way, I'm shooting on a GH5 with a Canon 50mm 1.2 L lens. It's a really nice lens, super shallow depth of field with a Metabone speed booster. Makes it like the f-stop increases to like 0.95, less than one f-stop. That's pretty amazing for this thing. Doesn't focus very well. I do manual focus, and hopefully I have my phone here. I can see what I'm doing and focus with that. Hopefully it's pretty good and in focus enough. All right, so that's it. Thanks. See you later.